Let's talk about Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson. A lot has been made about Ben Carson, the great pediatric neurosurgeon, running on his skills and prestige from being a fantastic neurosurgeon. This has been mostly unquestioned. And one of our viewers, Alan, wrote to me and said, "Hey, David, I looked into this issue of whether Ben Carson is this great neurosurgeon. It appears he may be a mediocre at best neurosurgeon." Alan said, "I did a little reading on Carson's supposed miraculous separating of twins, conjoined twins, Patrick and Benjamin Binder. It turns out that Ben Carson was part of a 70-member surgical team for the process. So Carson was 1/70th of that team. And further, the twins survived the surgery, but they were never able to live reasonably normal lives. To this day, Patrick Binder remains in a vegetative state. So Ben Carson had most likely a minor role in the separation, and it wasn't a miraculous success the way he pretends it was." Let's put aside for a second the conjoined twins situation. Ben Carson has a long history of malpractice suits where his patients suffered serious debilitation at the hands of Ben Carson. Now, records indicate Ben Carson has been sued for malpractice at minimum 6 times, dating back to 1986. Okay, long surgical career, 6 times. Maybe it's not that much. And plus, just because you're sued for malpractice doesn't mean you did anything wrong. But we unfortunately can't make that claim, Lewis, because several of the legal cases against Ben Carson are still pending. Carly Bailey, who's 27, sued him in 2009, claiming that Ben Carson performed a botched surgery to remove a tumor from her brain when she was 9 years old. The operation left her with a right side facial droop, vertigo-like symptoms, and other complications. And this is just horrific. In 2011, Darlene King, a 69-year-old woman, filed a lawsuit claiming that Ben Carson perforated her eardrums and left a sponge in her skull, which he later allegedly mistook for a tumor. This is out of a Seinfeld episode, if true.
This is pretty crazy. But when it comes to the splitting of the twins,
Yeah.
these surgeries take place over a very long time.
Right.
You have many people coming and going, and you do have a few people kind of overseeing things who are generally in charge of what's happening. So I don't think that is an example of Ben Carson perhaps being incompetent. However, everything else you just listed, I think it's kind of scary, Dave.
Question 1, does being a pediatric neurosurgeon qualify you to be president? I think the answer is clearly no, particularly since it doesn't prevent Ben Carson from having all sorts of insane ideas about science. So being a pediatric neurosurgeon does not qualify you to be president. Question 2 is whether we agree that Ben Carson was a fantastic neurosurgeon, and that's increasingly unclear.
The answer is unclear. I'm not going to say no, but it's unclear. Dave, if you asked me if I thought that someone who thinks that the pyramids were used to store grain would be a great pediatric neurosurgeon, I would say that's impossible.
All right. And we will have to continue exploring that. I'm on Twitter at Pakman. Lewis is on Twitter at Lewis Motamedi. We will take a break and be back with plenty more.